Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another Dead Pixel. I'm your host for today, and my name is Joe, and I'm here with my co-host, best bud, co-pilot, whatever you want to call him,
Bitch.
the the one and only amateur K-pop artist, Nick.
Look,
Sorry, did I out you? Oh, okay, that was for
look,
later.
yeah. Korean pop will accept non-Koreans eventually. They have to. It's a genre, not a race. K-pop is a genre, not a race.
Hey, you got to make headway somewhere, right?
Yeah,
Uh, anyways, how are you doing, Nick?
doing pretty good. It's Friday, so I'm glad it's the week's over. Um, yeah, I can't complain.
All right. And for letting you out there guys know, this is episode 4. Today is November 5th. We'll be, posting this on the 6th. And we're just a little podcast that likes to talk about a little bit of everything, mostly focusing on entertainment such as TV and movies and video games. We do like to talk a little bit technology, and we then, of course, go on lots of tangents. So, yep. I'm not going to apologize for that. That's just what you're here for.
Yeah, you're here for the tangents. You know it. You know you want it.
All right, now, I mean, honestly, what did you do for Halloween, man? Because this is, we just, my office just had their Halloween thing last Friday, so a week ago, and
Oh,
some people were really into it. I hadn't been to an office Halloween thing or had a group of people at work that interested in it for a long time, and so I'm at a new place, and they're like, "Yeah, you can dress up," and I'm like, I don't really have anything. So, this is the first time having a Halloween event since coming back to the States. And I'm like, yeah, no, I'm going to go ahead and found my old GameStop shirt. It was a Red Dead shirt, and it had like Red Dead coming out April like 23rd or some shit on the back. And then I had to look it up. I'm like, did it come out in April? No, it came out in May. That's so GameStop. Even the shirts were pushed back wrong. But yeah.
so two things. First thing is Nick's advice for Halloween is have a funny hat. Have a cat in the hat. Well, I think he's been canceled. So maybe pick a different hat, but have a non-normal hat, like a wizard hat, just ready to go. Never wear it until Halloween. Bust it out, and you're good to go.
So, okay. So tip number 1, pretend to be Johnny Depp. Okay, Roger.
Yeah, Johnny Depp is a perfect example.
Always a new hat. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's been canceled too, but that's okay. You can do everything that he does and did, and it'll be fine. But like as far as what I did for Halloween, there's a bit of a story in that. So some of my coworkers found out about. Do you know about like the Rocky Horror Picture Show movie?
You're literally asking. Okay, yes, I've heard
Just
this
yes or no?
little tiny movie, indie
Just
film
just yes or no?
called The Rocky Horror.
Okay, so now that we have that, have you heard about like the live showings of it?
Yes.
Okay, so we went to one of those, but it was a shadow cast. Do you know what a shadow cast is?
Yeah, and that's actually more interesting now. Okay, now you've got my attention because it's not the standard Rocky Horror presentation.
Okay, so a shadow cast, if you don't know, because I didn't really know before I saw this. I had seen Rocky Horror stuff before, but not like this. So a shadow cast is they play the movie on a projector, but then they also have actors and maybe actresses who act it out in front of the movie and kind of just let the movie be a dubbing for their lips. So it's kind of a fun, silly thing. So that was going on as well. But before that, and during that, the movie playing, there was a burlesque show. So
yeah. Thematically correct. Okay.
it was, so like I went, and it wasn't my idea to go, but people invited me. So I was like, okay, let's, I'll get some culture. This will be fun. And the burlesque show started, and it was very amateur. People were trying hard, but it was pretty amateur. And then that ended after about 4 performances, and the movie could start. And so the movie started, and it's like, all right, we're in this movie now. And we get through about the first 45 minutes or so, and it comes to a stopping point right after they reveal Rocky.
Okay.
And then they turn the lights back on and shut the projector off, and they say, okay, it's time for Burlesque Show Part 2.
Oh man.
And this was, I mean, what day was Halloween?
That was Sunday.
Halloween was Sunday. Okay. Well, this was Thursday. So this was my Halloween event that I did. This was Thursday. We had to go to work tomorrow as the time we were watching this. And it was like 11:30 at night when they were like in the middle of the second burlesque show. And finally somebody in our group got up and was like, "Hey, I got to get up early in the morning, so I'm going to get out of here." And then the rest of us were like, "Yep, time to go." Cause we were all thinking it. We were all thinking, "Oh, fuck." Cause like another hour was going to put it at like 1 a.m. by the time this whole thing ended. So left the show, and I had to park far away. But I was in a lot that I thought was fine to park in. So I walked back to this lot, and there's cop cars all around near where I parked. And I was like, I wonder who got in trouble. Turns out that lot like closes after 11. So they booted my car. And so I was like, well, fuck. Because it's like getting close to midnight. I'm tired. The show was problematic for me in ways. Anyway,
Wicked feelings deep down inside that you never knew you had.
Yes. So many feelings. So many feelings. Luckily, they do this all the time. They boot that lot all the time. And there were plenty of like parking guys and cops around. And I was like, hey, can I get my car unbooted? And they're like, okay, yeah, just pay $100. So I paid $100 and got out of there finally. It still took a little while. But that was my Halloween. And yeah, it was, yeah, glad you asked.
So did you actually, have you seen the whole Rocky Horror Picture Show in its entirety before?
I have been to another one of these shows, but
Okay.
but it was in college, so it was like over a decade ago. So whenever I went to see this one, I was like, oh yeah, I've seen this before. But then as I thought about it, as we got deeper into the show, I was like, I think we left early in college too. Because I don't remember the end. I remember the beginning to like the middle and like one or two scenes I've seen on TV at the
Okay.
end.
No, man, I was probably introduced to this way too young. It would have been 6th grade. Yeah, out of the 6th
Oh
grade
man,
when I
that's
first came across Rocky Horror Picture Show. I watched a lot of movies I probably shouldn't have, but they're like, yeah, it's fine, So that I learned real early because it was, I can't remember the characters' names anymore. It's been so long since I've actually seen it. When the starting guy comes out, you all yell asshole.
yeah.
And when they mention the main female lead, you yell at slut. When they say toast, everyone whips bread at the screen. Yeah, that was the shit that I grew up like. Those were the rules that you had to do when you watched it at the theater.
Yeah.
And Tim Curry, singing the "Sweet Transvestite" from Transsexual Transylvania.
Sweet transvestite.
From Transsexual Transylvania. It was fucking great. Meatloaf is in it.
Meatloaf is in it. That is so weird.
It's
So,
yeah. Of course, Tim Curry playing that role like jeopardized his movie career entirely. It's one of those things that, yeah, of course it would. But at the same time, it rocketed him to a cult stardom, essentially.
yeah.
Certain movies will do that to actors. I believe MASH was the same way for Donald Sutherland, actually. Him playing that silly kind of role. And then of course later on he was in stuff like Animal House and which but he kind of found his niche as a comedian actor, and then he played so many other things. But no, Tim Curry, he's fucking legend. Literally, he's in the movie Legend. Tom
Yeah,
Cruise,
he's like the
very
devil
young.
guy, right?
Yeah, he's Diablo, essentially. He's the devil. Um,
In Spanish, the devil in Spanish, yes.
yeah, I don't remember what they actually call it, his character name is, but he has the full Diablo horns, and like that movie's so bad. But anyways, yeah, no, I'm glad you got to experience. So I just wish it didn't cost you $100+, and your time.
Yeah, and the tickets were like 25, $30, I forget. And it was, but like, I mean, I have a story to tell on the podcast, at least, So
It's
one could
it's
think
one of
about
those
it.
things that you paid for the eternal memory of that, and now you can always bring it up when you had weird situations, and that's great.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, you know,
But
yeah,
otherwise, another uneventful Halloween.
yeah. It was our area is pretty quiet, so we barely get any trick or treaters around here.
Yeah, I didn't get any
Um,
at my apartment.
so yeah. Well, that's really about it. So all right, we'll actually get into some of the stuff we've been watching.
Yeah, man.
So yeah, for myself, I actually started watching the Scarlet Nexus anime. They started having that dubbed, and I I want to play the game. I just don't have the time. And I've had two other friends who got into the game thanks to Game Pass, and they're like, it's a lot slower than I expected, because it almost feels like when you look at it, like, oh, it's going to be like a platinum third person action, but it's actually quite a bit slower. So I'm like, okay, well, time is, a concern for me. So it looks interesting and I like the aesthetic. So I'm going to go ahead and just watch this anime. And I've been enjoying it, actually. It surprisingly goes places. If the game goes into the depth that this anime is going, then I'm actually more interested in playing the game now than ever. Uh, it's For those who don't know, it's a weird dystopian-ish future where essentially you have the Scarlet Nexus, which are like these elite soldiers who have powers, psychic powers, from ranging from telekinesis to pyrokinetics, just the whole range of anything you can think of. And yeah, they battle these monsters that come out. Uh, and the monsters look something like out of a Shin Megami Persona game. So it's like really weird, abstract, like walking legs. Think Tim Curry's legs in uh, Rocky Horror or something. Like it's just really weird, like just weird monster choice. It's not your average, furry ghoul or something. I don't know. So it's but the story, it's really you have this really overbearing government that kind of oversees everything. You have your city, everyone, all the citizens are like, we're safe thanks to thanks to our military, and everything's fine. We don't really have to worry about it because we have the the good guys here. And then of course you start getting more in depth about what's going on behind the scenes, conspiracies, coup d'etat attempts, stuff like that. And it kind of like, oh wow, I wasn't expecting it to be it's not really super compelling, but at the same time it's way more engaging than I ever expected. I just expected to be like really mundane surface level, action anime. But no, it actually has a little bit more going for it. But more or less I feel like it's being told primarily through the male perspective. And
Mm.
in the game, you have the choice of being either the male or female lead, who have different squads. So therefore, you have different people you interact with, and I assume a much more different story as it goes on. The beginning events are pretty closely overlapped, but I haven't seen much gameplay from other people further down the story paths. So I'm hoping they would diverge quite a bit, because that's what it feels like it does in the anime, but it's mostly sticking to the guy's path.
Yeah, yeah.
So
This came to Game Pass, and you were talking about it, so I decided to load it up and try it a little bit. I played probably, I don't know, 30 minutes or so just to kind of get through the intro. And it seems good. It seems competent. It seems like it'll probably uh, be pretty fun. they do give you that choice of playing the girl's perspective or the guy's perspective, right there at the beginning. Which I started with the guy's perspective, kind of thinking, well, I'll just try this out. But I think I want to go back through. If I do end up playing it, I think I want to go back through and play as the girl if I ever do end up committing to a full playthrough.
Yeah, because their attack styles, their actual way they handle are a little different. The guy generally does some telekinetics, picking up things and throwing them, and he has a sword that he controls, with his mind, opposed to with his hands. And the one thing I like about it is the way he sheaths his sword is actually pretty cool.
Yeah,
It'll spin in the back and it'll just auto sheath itself. Like that's actually kind of cool.
yeah,
Um, and then the main female lead, she has like multiple objects kind of like centured around her, and that's what she ends up using from what it looked like.
yeah.
So it's like I said, it's engaging. Watching the anime makes me more interested in the game. I just don't think I'll have necessarily the time to commit to a JRPG style. It's like that's a lot of time commitment
Yeah,
that could be used for a lot of other things. So
yeah, it's true.
uh,
That is a. How long is the show, by the way?
I wanted to say 12 episodes, but it might actually be 24.
Okay,
Um, so
so it's just like a one or two season
it's not
type
complete
thing.
yet. So
Oh,
it's
okay.
not completely dubbed yet, is what it's going. So I haven't finished the series at all. Um, yeah, that's like I said, it's most definitely it's like the Cliff Notes, version. But honestly, it's good enough for me as of right now, and I honestly am going to try to finish this out, at least the anime, and maybe I'll get around to the game. I recommend giving it a shot if you're remotely interested in either one, then you can go ahead and see how it plays out.
So,
Um,
so like, is the point of this anime kind of like, I mean, uh, are they not really pushing the characters? Are they pushing more like the world and the action over kind of interpersonal relationships?
they have some of the interpersonal relationships, which is nice. They so you find you have like the best friend's main character. They have the main female lead and her sister. So some stuff happens to both the sidekicks. I won't really say too much about it, but like the main female lead, her sister, some stuff happens to her, and the main male lead, some stuff like both different. So therefore, like if it, I'm expecting this to happen in the game. And that makes sense that you would have some sort of investment with no matter who you're playing as, because you don't want to be playing as the male lead and all of a sudden something happens to the female leads, number two, but that's over there, so why do I care? So you kind of have to have something happen to both sides.
Yeah.
um and there's there seems to be some stuff involving uh time travel to a certain extent and parallel worlds. So, like I said, I'm only about
Hmm.
6 or 7 episodes in, I think, and it's like I said, it was way more interesting than I expected, and from what I can see, it's 26 episodes long, so it's actually a decent length for an anime because most anime are usually only 12, and then some of them you might get a little longer, and it's more on the rare side that you'll get something that's even longer than that. Only a few anime that come to mind, like One Piece or Bleach, Naruto. Those things get the really long ones, but
Truly
on average,
serialized.
yeah, on
Yeah.
average, you're lucky to get 24 episodes. So that's and this was kind of that length. So I'm like, all right, that's cool. But yeah, they haven't dubbed all of them yet, so I haven't finished it. I've my wife and I have enjoyed that one, and
Okay.
we've also been watching. Well, there's a new one that also came out, so it's only a couple episodes in, and that's Banished from the Heroes Party. I think there's more text to it or some crap, but it's
I think
it's a
it's.
manga that
I think that the rest of the subheading is. So I decided to settle down in the
in the
countryside,
boonies, or yeah, in the countryside or something
it's
like that. Yeah.
something weird like that. Yeah.
So this is also a popular thing now, where it's there's something to do with the hero's party, and they're either equipping the hero reincarnates, or like there's just they like to play with this trope. the nice part about this is it's not an isekai. It's just a fantasy world where the guy is like, everyone has their own natural calling, as it were, like a job skill. And so it's like when you become of age, your job skill, which is complete RNG, will determine what your aptitude is. You may not necessarily like it, but it is what it is. So it's like it can be anything from these job skills can be anything from like carpentry or you can be like a woodworker or something like that, a farmer. And then it could also be things like thief or assassin, bar brawler. So it's really weird. And it's like so some nobles have these weird like things like thief. So obviously they have this natural aptitude of being a thief, and their skills, their future skill set will be targeted towards that. And apparently when you find out what your blessing is, it also has a way of guiding your personality. So if you have something like bar brawler, you get angry easier. And bar brawler, like there's a kid who has it, and it turns out it's he's easy to anger. But bar brawler essentially is like those who fight barehanded and use random objects around them. So pick up a rock, pick up a chair, or stool, or something like that. And so apparently that's supposed to be your job. So this guy, his thing is he can do. I think it's like he's a little bit of jack of all trades, master of none. So he can't really he can't really do high level skills, but he ends up being really proficient at the low stuff, to the point where like, wow, no one would have thought like a low or intermediate like swordsmanship could really carry you that far. But he's completely maxed the potential out of those lower skills. So he's like, yeah, I'm not that good at cooking. I'm only low rank cooking. But everyone's like, you cook amazingly, because it's like he completely maxed that out. And so he helps bring out the potential for everything. And essentially the hero's party is they're trying to kill the demon lord, because that's what you do. And everyone's stronger than him. His sister is the one with the hero's blessing, and he's the ultimate support guy. He's there to help them, back him up. But the sage, their mage party member, who he convinces him, he's like, you need to get out because you're slowing us down. So you can just leave. You don't want to be a burden to the rest of us. And so he's like, I guess you're right. If you guys are thinking that I'm a burden, I'll bail. So yeah, he bails without a fucking fuss. It's really it's
He's like,
it's
it's fine. I'm out.
yeah, it's kind of a puss move. It's just like, oh, dude, it's a shame. But then he's like, he moves to the countryside, and he's like, yeah, I like making herbs and like potions and stuff like that. So he becomes like a pharmacist, and he's a part-time adventurer, just doing a lot of gathering herbs. Like, he doesn't want to climb the ranks. He's like, I'm good being at the bottom of the guild totem pole. That's not a big deal. And he ends up through his acts, he builds friendships in the town, and it's really far out. The whole point is it's in the countryside, away from the battlefield, so he doesn't have to worry about the whole demon's army or anything like that. And he ends up meeting an old friend that they fought together when the hero's party went through that person's territory, and she's like a second or third princess in lineage or something like that. And she's a
is she the hot girl on the cover and in a lot of
yeah.
Okay.
Yep, she's the blonde.
Okay.
So that's actually what gets to. There's good and bad to this. Is I like their dynamic. I read the manga. I've been reading the manga, I should say, for a long time, and so that's why I'm giving this a shot. I like the fact that they are quickly established as an item. It's not like, maybe let's flirt a bit. Let's not like, no, they fully go into it like as hey, I like you, you like me, we kind of understand this. Yeah, I'm gonna move in. And he's like, what? She's like, yeah, I'm moving in. I'm gonna help you with your shop, and like, I'm living here, so you can pay me a minimum bit, but I'm technically getting room and board, so we're good, and like they establish an actual real relationship, a romantic relationship together. Like, oh, that's nice. It's not it actually does something, so opposed to so many other anime where it's like everyone's wish-washy, or like we need to get more more female here for the harem, but you can never pick somebody because then it ruins the viewers fantasy of shipping the right people. No, like, no, this is it. We're gonna go ahead and these are an item, and this is how the series is gonna go.
Like they're not
uh
dangling it in front of you for 6 seasons. It's
yeah,
just like
no,
here it is.
it's really and so I like their relationship. I like the way they interact. That's great. What I don't like is in the anime, they draw her differently. Now that's not that uncommon for manga and anime to be different, especially it's more notorious in the olden days for being quite a bit different. But for the most part, the guy's the same. A lot of the other characters are the same, but they make her face look a little more, I guess, cutesy, like a little more rounded. And there's just something off about it that
Huh.
uh, they're going for a cuter look opposed to more of a beautiful look. Not really saying that she has that like elegant beauty look in the manga, but it's just there's just enough difference there that I notice it. And then she has this like corset top that has like the power girl boob window,
Yeah.
and they make her chest notice, or at least I feel that it's noticeably different or bigger in a just we took her normal character design and just moved the slider for bigger boobs.
Yeah.
And it's like the proportions just seem a little off. I mean, granted, they're it's always manga and anime, always have bad proportions, but I just feel like she looked better and her character design was overall better in the manga, but they tried to fan service it up a little bit more, and
Make it
I
look
just
like
feel that
every other anime out there.
yeah, it bothers me. So that
Yeah.
it's like I look at it, I'm like, oh man, they really need to make that bit, like or like they'll do the camera shots and stuff like that, like focusing. I'm like, yeah, it's not right. I just maybe if I was back in high school, I'd be like, oh, that's awesome. But honestly, I just don't think it's. Oh, other than that, I'm a few episodes in now. They're currently dubbing that, and I'm enjoying it. It's very right now. It's very true to form to the manga as well. So uh, it'll move faster, that's for sure, because the manga doesn't update that very often, and I enjoy that story. I mean, so far, so
Yeah.
I recommend giving it a shot if you want something a little different and a hero that's pretty decent,
Well,
not lecherous, not anything. He's a good stand-up person.
would you recommend the manga over the anime?
Yes, but at the same time, it's one of those like almost always recommend the manga or the book, right? Uh,
I mean, yeah, I guess.
time is the essence, right? It's a lot harder to find the time unless if you're a super quick reader. I generally look at read manga before bed. That's kind of my unwind moment.
Yeah.
It's easier for that. I'm not, and it's quiet, so I don't have to disturb anyone around me. That's where I get my reading done. And if I end up reading a novel or like try, then it ends up I'm really invested, I guess, but because it's manga, it's short little chapters, bite-sized bits. It's just little updates, and then I'm like, okay, cool, this is done. I can go to bed now. Opposed to me, like, oh, I can just finish this next chapter of this book that I'm getting into, or next thing I know, it's like, oh man, it's 3 in the morning. I'm doomed.
Yeah,
Tomorrow's gonna suck.
you can kind of check in with it and then be out. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's nice.
So
Okay.
that's really what I've been doing. How about yourself though? You found anything new?
Well, for me, I watched a little TV show on Netflix called Midnight Mass. So this is from the same people that did um, The Haunting of Hill House and I think also The Haunting of Bly Manor, which both of which I didn't see. Those came out a couple years ago, at least The Haunting of Hill House. Um, but I heard they were good, and I kind of tried watching a little bit of those, or at least a little bit of Haunting of Hill House, and I don't know, it was all right, but it just didn't really grab me. But this show really did grab me pretty quickly. So what this is about, without getting into spoilers, it's about a let's see, pull up my notes here real quick. So,
Because
and
this is the one. Well, he's like a preacher moves into a new town scenario. That's the trailer I thought I saw. Like,
yeah.
is that roughly okay?
So basically, it's about a small fisherman's town that's on an island that's just off the East Coast.
Okay.
So they're secluded. They're like think they said they're 30 miles from shore. So they're kind of secluded. It's a small town, and it's only got one church, and it's a Catholic church. And so this is one of those towns where it's small enough, and everybody in the town pretty much is Catholic. Not everybody goes all the time, but it's just one of those places where it's like everybody is kind of in that same mindset.
You kind of have to be indoctrinated at that point because,
Yeah.
if you're born there, what else are you going to be? You don't really got the options.
Yeah. So, but I mean, so there definitely is some. Well, first I'll talk about. There's some people who have to be in that town for various reasons, and they are not Catholic, or they don't fit into like that ideal. Like there's a woman who is pregnant out of wedlock, and then like the sheriff of the town is it's a father, but the mother passed away, and him and his son are Arab and Muslim, and they're the only ones there that are like that. So it kind of shows you some of these people, and then it shows you like some of the more devout people, and then it shows you people who are Christians and Catholics, but they're just kind of bad. Like there's like an alcoholic, which I mean he's struggling and stuff, but he has like a dark past. So they kind of show you a lot of these different characters, and it's sort of it's a little bit chilling, I would say, in the first couple episodes, but you don't really find out what is going on until I think the end of the third episode. And I'll kind of leave it there as far as kind of talking about like the goings on, because to kind of say what it is would give it away. And it's a really good show, and it does have a nice tight end, so it's not like going to have a season 2 or anything like that.
Oh, that's nice. Okay, I didn't know how that was playing out. All right, that actually having a complete arc, I guess, it makes it way more interesting for me.
Yeah. So I think it's 8 episodes, something like that, in that range. And the characters are all really well fleshed out. And they don't really spend too much time on any one of them. I will say, so I first heard about this TV show when I was listening to the Fire Escape cast with Mike Mahardy and Mary Kish and your favorite Dan Reichert.
Okay.
And
I didn't realize he was doing other things outside of wrestling, but okay.
Yeah.
That and Bombcast. Okay, yeah.
So
Mike Mahardy, he's the old Game Informer podcast host, I believe.
Exactly. Yeah, I think.
Okay.
I know he was on Giant Bomb a bunch of times as a guest and stuff like that. But this is their podcast. Well, Mike Mahardy and Mary Kish had both watched this show, and so they were kind of talking it up. And one of the things, I don't know if I would have noticed this. I think I probably would have, though. But one of the things that Mike Mahardy said that kind of put me off the show, or at least diminished my interest in it, was he said that the show is really monologue heavy. And he was not kidding. They don't do it too much, but they definitely do it more than I would ever do it. So what'll happen is like a character will begin to monologue. They'll just talk about some philosophy that they have for, several minutes, and it takes you kind of out of the experience. It's very kind of strange. Whoever wrote
this,
very
preachy. Okay.
Yes. That is exactly what I've written down here. The pun that I was gonna say.
Oh, sorry for robbing you of it. Okay, my bad.
Is that you could say it's quite preachy, and like for the most part, I wouldn't say that it's enough to knock you off of the show if you start watching it, but I did notice it immediately after I started watching it because of what Mike Mahardy had said. And then there is a part in like the middle later episode where it's like two monologues back to back, and it's just like, okay, fucking come on, like this is ridiculous. But then that's probably like the last time that they really do it, I think.
Okay.
So that's like the only real problem I have with the show. Everything else, it's a nice slow burn. It's a nice slow build up to something that is very interesting. And if you're into horror or unsettling shit, then I think it'll be up your alley.
Okay.
And anyway, it was really good. But by the end, I was watching like 2 and 3 episodes at a time just because I was like, dang, I really am excited to see where this goes. It was really good.
How long are the episodes, and how long's the series?
I think it's 8 episodes long, and every episode is in that 45 to an hour '05 range, just whatever they
Okay.
need to tell that chapter. But I think most of them are about 50 minutes or so.
All right. Yeah, you got me interested in it for sure. I mean, the location makes sense. It kind of fits that, Stephen King vibe, because, the whole New England area and, isolating it, that's generally another reason why New England worked really well in a lot of those cases because, there's not a lot of, if when you get out there a little bit more, there's not a lot of settlements, and a little more country-esque, but having it on an island makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Uh, Kind of reminds me of The Wicker Man when you say it like that. Uh, you know,
Yeah.
I
I
think that
mean,
was
it's sort of, yeah, it is kind of secluded like that, but the main difference there would be that there's not really one person that is, you know, going to be sacrificed or something. Everybody kind of belongs there, and a lot of people kind of don't. Um, anyway, that's it. I would say that you'd probably enjoy it, and it's short enough to where you could get through it without being like to
yeah,
get to the
eight
end and being
episodes is
like,
way doable for
yeah,
sure. It's not a large commitment, and knowing that it's not a cliffhanger ending or something like that, or we will eventually get around to doing the second half of season one or something. That's good to know.
yeah, yeah, for real.
Oh, that's cool. That's like I said, I'll try to give it a shot, and I guess outside of that, then, uh, I guess we'll be talking about a little bit about the news now. For me, I'm really interested in the fact that as of today, the Intel 12th gen processors, the CPUs have all been more or less, or the big next wave has been released, and a lot of people up there are doing a lot of reviews and comparison work to see how it stacks up to AMD's current lineup, the Zen 3 series, and from the broad takeaway, without getting too heavy and handed in this, is Intel has finally brought their A game. For a long time, they haven't been doing a lot. They've been just doing just enough to claim like best gaming performance, but then for other multi-core, multi-threaded processes, it hasn't been as good. So it's like if you want the best for gaming only, Intel's the way to go. But if you want to do anything else as far as like video editing and like multiple programs or anything like that, or you need more for a workhorse, AMD was right there. And you're like, you know what, AMD is usually the better bang for your buck. You may not get the peak gaming, but you get a far superior CPU on all the other fronts that
Yeah,
equally, it's a more well-rounded system.
I mean that's kind of what I
um,
was kind of thinking is that in the past, what, 2 3 years, it's been like, well, yeah, I mean if you really have to have the very pinnacle best, then you'll just pay the money and go Intel. But as far as like if you have a wallet that you want to respect in the morning, it's been like AMD and Ryzen, like up and down, left and right. They're just price for parity and price for performance rather has been all on the side of AMD.
Yes,
As far
their
as I've
power
been,
consumption has been better. There, it's just generally more cores for cheaper, for less money, uh, and to the point where uh, honestly, the 11th gen series of Intel was pretty hot garbage. Is the way to put it. I mean, when you look at the fact that you honestly were better off, for especially for the price, just to stick with a 10th gen system because you couldn't, for a long while you weren't able to get any of the new processors, even 10th gen. So I happen to have a 10 900 KF. So it's overclockable, but also it doesn't. I need a discrete GPU. So that I would have loved to have gotten the Zen 3 5900 or 5950, though that would be more than I actually need. It would have been, but overkill. But you want what you always want the best when you can, even if you can't afford it or you can't find it.
Yeah.
uh, but I was happy getting the 10900, and I got it. I was a little kicking myself because like I was in a situation where I had to get it. um it was the best what I could get, and I knew just around the corner the new Intel 11th gen systems were coming out. I'm like, oh man, this sucks because like not only am I not getting the AMD, I'm missing. Yeah, I'm like Intel's going to come out the 11th gen, and then I'm just going to be like I'm already just with an old thing. The 11th gen came out. I'm like, oh, in fact, I'm perfectly fine where I am because there's almost no real gain on the 11th. I'm like, that's actually, it sucks for them, but it's really good for me.
Yeah.
So, but now there's huge gains apparently. So a lot of people are. Uh, I guess the current flagship of the uh, the new Intel 12th gen. That's going to be the 12900K, and that is currently going for, I believe it's 650. Um,
Is that the
and so when you're,
i9?
I'm sorry.
Is that the i9?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, the i9. And so when you're comparing it, you're going to compare it to the 5900 is the closest in pricing. So the 5900 goes for 550 to 500 if it's on sale. Like currently, Micro Center has the 5900X for $500. And I mean, if you go with the 5950, that's going for it shows MSRP of 800, but currently they have it on sale for 700. So you can get it for now for 700, which is $50 more still than the current 12th gen 12900K.
Yeah.
So right now Intel is not only cheaper, but from what you've been the reviews I've been seeing, it's actually better. It's outperforming in quite a lot of scenarios. There's a few scenarios where the big difference is now they're really pushing to get the full capability of this 12900K or just the 12th gen series. You need to be looking at getting a new motherboard because a lot of this stuff ain't going to be backwards compatible. You have to upgrade to Windows 11
Yeah.
to get the full range. You can still run it on Windows 10. It's just not going to be theoretically the full potential. It is meant for Windows 11.
Yeah,
Um,
there's like I watched a video on this, and there's certain things that Windows 10 cannot access, and Windows 11 is able to make better use of, like the efficiency cores and stuff like that. I'm kind of hazy on it, but that's sort of the idea.
yeah, so that's exactly it. So essentially, you have your standard cores and you have your efficiency cores, and the efficiency cores are meant for the more general tasks. But it's they can work in tandem, and it's a really exciting. I like hearing about the new technology. I like to see where this is going. But like I said, the most exciting part is they finally brought innovation because they changed. This is the first time they've changed it up in a really long time. Um, Intel has been stagnant. They've been very complacent, and since AMD has been clawing their way up for the last couple iterations, and they've really been taking a strong foothold now. So because of that, you know, Intel finally had to change things. They made a good competitor pricing wise as well, and
Yeah.
now what's going to do is you probably won't see an AMD refresh until my guess is probably like maybe February, but you'll be mid to late first quarter. You might at least hear about some. I'm hoping to hear about some news before the end of the year and I'm figuring the soonest you'll see it is maybe by the end of the first quarter. But that'll we're hoping that they this will bring competition in that space,
Yeah.
and hopefully it brings a better system. Also equally price comparable, and if we're lucky, because right now, of course, everyone's buying everything. Everything's going to get scalped anyways. So
Yeah, I mean, CPUs aren't quite as bad about that, at least to me, but because I didn't have too much trouble getting a hold of my CPU that I just bought recently. But like, yeah, I mean, like I follow um, the stock prices for Intel and AMD, and Intel's stock price has been shit for a long time. Honestly, though, I haven't looked at it in a while, but AMD's has been really kicking ass. So I kind of wonder if this is going to put if this is something that the shareholders for Intel were like, okay, you guys need to fucking do something about this because we're getting our asses handed to us. Because I mean, before, like, I mean, it was like for what decades that it was Intel. It was like Intel was the only game in town, right?
uh, so what it is Intel's been top for gaming for a really long time. Now, what would happen is AMD would always make a very they weren't in that they were never for a really long time. Their job was not top tier.
Yeah.
Their job was to make the most um, solid foundation, best bang for your buck. And still does everything you want it to. It just doesn't hit. It just wasn't targeting the top, top 10, 15 percentile of like extreme graphics, stuff.
Twitch
But it was always
streamers.
more of a workhorse kind of concept.
Yeah, just
Um,
leaving the Twitch streamers alone. Like,
Yeah, and but it did other things that streamers would love, like being able to encode and do, because of the multi-thread and all more the cores and stuff. It made it more efficient that way, so it could handle a lot more tasks. But a lot of games that were still focusing on single core processing was, I think, Far Cry was notorious for that.
mm,
So they were more of a single thread system, and so Intel did much better on that because they had the higher hertz, fewer cores. So it really, that's where it got the top marks. But AMD has really come a long way, and more people are going there because like, oh, dude, if I'm going to be Twitch streamer, or if I'm going to be YouTube, it's like doing live things, or if I'm going to doing a lot of editing, AMD is the way to go. And so this is, like I said, the first time in a long time that you really look at Intel and be like, wow, you did something different, and it's
yeah,
not only different, but it's really good.
yeah.
Um,
I
so I'm
did.
really excited to see how this plans out.
Yeah, from what I saw, it looked like the i5 is a really great spot to be in if you're the kind of person who needs to do, who wants to do gaming and then also wants to do some fairly light, I don't know how to say this, sort of light work with like graphics or like video processing. Then like the i5 is a great is a great price for what it does for you. And then the i9, it seemed like got really hot. That if you put that under load, that it was getting really warm to a point that even like that basically like you kind of needed liquid cooling almost to really bring the temperature back down to acceptable levels.
Yeah, so the reason why is also the design of the actual CPU is different. It kind of
It's thin.
goes into, yeah, it's thin, but it's also a little more rectangle than it is traditional square. Um, yeah, that's what the Threadripper was noted for. So the Threadripper wasn't targeted for gaming, but well, you can use it for gaming, but it was AMD's super powerhouse for those who are doing a lot of video work.
Rendering.
So
Yeah,
yeah, when you want to, and when you want to render, do Blender and stuff like that,
yeah,
that's why you have Threadripper. And that sucker was, it's a weird shape too in comparison to a standard Zen, 2 or 3. And so yeah, it's a new chipset, a new chip design, and it is running hot. But honestly, when you're that high on, uh, like when you're in the i9 series, you generally want to have a really nice cooler, anyways. Not everyone goes with the a liquid cool, but a lot of people will be buying a decent aftermarket air cool, and they all have at least decent fans to boot because you have the money to back that up. If you're targeting the high end stuff, um, so that's kind of you're more in enthusiast territory. Or if you do it for work, then you most definitely are going to be cranking out what you can. And what happens is a lot of the old coolers, oh, not a lot, I'd say some of the old coolers that are compatible, with a new bracket change, um, there are some of them that are having issues with um, doing proper heat sink compatibility, because it may fit properly, but maybe the seal, or it's not as flat as it needs to be. There are some issues with so essentially, a lot to be on the safe side, you're better off trying to buy a new cooler that is specifically designed for the 12th gen, instead of trying to refab your old one.
Mm.
You just It's better to be safe than sorry in that front. um, and honestly, if I would be building up a whole new unit and getting it, I'd try to do a I wouldn't go with an all-in-one cooler. Essentially, I'd try to do dedicated loop for liquid cooling. Have do the whole tubes and make it look pretty, because
Yeah.
that's and for me personally, that'd be most definitely an exciting enthusiast build. But I don't have any really work. I'm not rendering, I'm not video editing, I'm not doing anything hard that requires me to actually get something like that. I just get it because I want to, but then I'd bleed all my money dry, and then I'd be sad.
Yeah, you'd be spending
I
like
have nothing to play.
ten thousand
Uh,
dollars getting this fucking computer together that you're gonna play like Minecraft on.
I'd be like, no, it's like I can finally play Crisis.
I
Like,
could probably
you
like
know,
Crysis.
I have my Steam library, and then I'll just play those, and I'll just download, I'll play Skyrim and get all the mods.
Yeah.
Um, but that's really it. I mean, it's exciting. With this also comes the fact that they're trying to push a DDR5
Yeah.
memory, and there's implementing this. You can use it with you either have to choose whether or not your motherboard is going to be you'll be using a DDR4, DDR5, or at least right now that's how it is. And it's debatable what to go with. Some people are like, well, I'll just go DDR5 because that's future proofing. But it's also like for Gen 1, it's like you you don't really know how things are going to change in the beginning. So the beginning is always a little clunky.
Yeah.
So, next year's reiteration over that board and how they do implement DDR5 might be better. But if you want to be groundbreaking, there you go. Or you can go with the DDR4, and that's already at peak life cycle. So they've really learned how to optimize RAM and memory that way. So it's your choice. Mm, two sides of it's
Yeah,
like you flip a coin.
you've either got too much money or you're in that world of like making YouTube videos of your builds and all your stuff. If you're trying to get something else done besides one of those two things, then then to me it's like, I mean, maybe you go with like an i5 or whatever, but but you don't necessarily need to go for all this just yet. It might be better to wait for the second gen of the DDR5 to come out.
Yeah, so I would, if it really does depend on what you're implementing. Like I went with the I wanted to go with a higher end CPU because my old computer was pretty old, and I needed to do a whole new build anyways. I My goal was to do I wanted something to run Flight Sim in 4K. I have an
Yeah.
older 2018 model, I think, OLED. So it does, I think it does 4K 60, and it doesn't do, I can't do 120 or nothing like that. But I wanted something to at least run that. So that's why the best I could get at the time, shortly after, um, well, peak pandemic, but shortly after the AMD had launched their Zen 3 archetype, so I could not find the 5900, and so I went with the 10900K or KF, and that honestly does the gaming and does the workhorse I need, and that's why I did that. If you want a basic barrier to entry, the i5s have always been solid, and that's the thing is Intel's now providing a good lower tier, entry, barrier to entry, because that will a lot of people feel that AMD has overlooked that because AMD, I forgot the lowest one they went with last couple times, but they've always been a really good like less than $200 CPU that's still solid.
Yeah.
But because now the market is what it is, they're like we just gonna overlook that because people are willing to pay these high prices because they're thirsty.
Yeah. It's one of those things.
And yeah, so that's that's the exciting news, and I look forward to seeing how that develops over time. But outside of that, there's not really much else on the news front that I was willing to talk about. But how about yourself? What did you pull up?
Did you want to talk about games?
Yeah, I think we should finally get around to talking about games.
Okay, let's talk about some games real quick, and then we'll jump back over to news. I kind of thought you wanted to do some of that this Gen 12 stuff because it's not like typical news. It is sort of its own thing.
I get excited about tech, so I
Yeah,
mean, if some people find it boring and it's really dry at times. So,
yeah, but I mean,
but
like
I'm a person.
it's
I like building a computer. I like building my computers, and I like looking at people talking about stats and performance.
yeah.
Um,
You showed me some good YouTube channels about that. I think if you don't have anything else to talk about, I can talk about some stuff.
yeah, for sure. Go right ahead, man. Take it away.
So I bought this little game. I'm not gonna talk about this very long. This little stupid game yesterday on Steam called Townscaper, and it is like it was I think 650 after taxes, and it's just it has no point. All you do is click, and it makes you're clicking on water, and it makes a like a concrete walking path, and then you click on that, and it makes a house, and then you click on it some more, and it makes it taller, and every time that you click, it just goes bloop, bloop, bloop. And you can make some crazy ass shit. I mean, you can make it like really tall, and they've kind of made it so you can change colors and take pictures and lower the sunset or lower the sun so that it looks like the sun is setting on your little town that you've made. Um, and I don't know, like it's kind of fun. It's definitely like a little time waster. Um, I kind of wish that they would put a little bit more in it. Um, I don't know what you would even do, but
Can
um,
you click and drag, or do you have to manually click on each space you
you
want?
got to click on every motherfucking space. Um,
Okay.
it's yeah. So it's not a game that's made to. It's not a game that has a point. It's just kind of silly fun and relaxing, I would say. Um,
No, totally. It has that Zen feel. It has that it's I like the art aesthetic opposed to because that's why a lot of people like the creative mode in Minecraft.
yeah,
Except for not everyone likes the voxel look, and that's understandable. This has a little cute aesthetic. You can I like the fact that from the video you're showing here, you can, build not only just on the land, but you can make it like a, stilts and kind of like your own bridgeways and such. So that's actually really neat.
yeah. Like it's all procedurally generated, I guess, as you go through. You have no control over it other than just like click and change
Okay.
colors. So it's a. I kind of thought about it as like a well, what if I could make a D&D map with this or like a little D&D town. Um, and it really isn't for that. I mean, you could maybe finagle it to do that if you really wanted to, but it would just kind of
I
be awkward, I think.
With the D&D bit, I think you'd at least be able to do a quick like blueprint or like mock up and be like, here's kind of a photo of what it looks like, and just slide that over.
Yeah.
I think that'd be doable. Um, and is this so? This is listed as a full release, or is this supposed to be like in beta? Or
I think this is at 1.0.
okay,
I'm pretty sure this is at 1.0. I saw some of the news after I bought the game on their page. It was like 1.0, and I think they had a pre-release or whatever back in August. I think it's a Swedish developer or Northern European developer. That's the name. The name sounded like that to me. It'd be cool if they did a little more with it and made it more of a progression system or something. But as it is, it's a cute little time waster, and I thought it was pretty fun.
yeah. Do you know if it's on anything like mobile devices? Because it looks like it'd be originally targeted for phones or tablets.
I
Just
mean,
the way it's designed.
I mean, I only know about it on Steam. It does make sense for it to be on like iOS or Android, because it could almost work in that. I don't know. It might be a little too intensive for some phones. Um,
Maybe. I just thought because the simple interface, and it's I can totally see killing some time with it just being like, yeah, I'm just gonna, I have nothing else really to do. I really don't want to, I'm tired of reading news and stuff or looking at like social media. I'm just gonna go and play this without any cost for, oh, I'm in the middle of something, like I have to get off the bus now. I have to stop my game or something. This is something you can just pick up and put down.
yeah, and the way they've made it work, everything you make looks interesting. It's just as you stack stuff on top of itself, it always looks like a town, but it always looks like a really interesting town built on the water, and it's a cute little idea, and I think probably $6 is kind of high for it. I know it's kind of weird, but if they drop it down to anything lower than that, then I'd say it's probably worth it if you're just looking for a time waster.
Okay,
But yeah.
that's cool. How about anything else then?
So I talked about this a while ago, but I hadn't played it very much. I have been playing Guilty Gear Strive a lot more recently. Um, I've played probably about 7 hours of it so far. I spent about 5 of that, maybe 6 of that in training. Um, just learning how to play, just getting really familiar with the controls, learning, just really internalizing as many moves as I could for just a few characters. So I got a lot better at it, even through that. I didn't know that until I jumped into playing against another person. But so the way that it works is the progression system or the ranking system is through a tower. So when you first go to play against other people, it says, "Hang on a second, you got to play against this computer opponent, and we'll place you in a certain spot in the tower." So they're merciful to you that way because they don't want you getting trash canned by randos. They place you into a certain area. Well, I got beat by the computer, but it was pretty close in both of the rounds. So they placed me in level 4 of this tower, which there's only 8 levels. So it was just below half. And then I played this guy right after that, and I won. I won against my first human opponent, and so they ranked me up to level 5. And then I got a guy with a Korean name, and he whipped my ass real hard, real fast. And I knew he would going into it. I was like, okay, this is gonna be brutal. But I made my goal to just hit him at least once, and I did. He didn't perfect me, so I did get him at least once. And then I got trash canned by another player. But then we played again, and I won that one. But I think they were sandbagging a little bit, so I think they're just trying to get me to keep playing. But anyway, so either way, I'm 2-2 in in my online career so far. But it's a great game. it's a great game as far as that is concerned, at least. Like, I would say the main point of fighting games nowadays is, probably has always been, is the mano a mano aspect, the the playing against another human uh, fighter is where a fighting game lives and dies. Um, but like, and this game is really great for that. For a lot of the other stuff around it, I am a little bit unsatisfied. Um, so the story of this game, they they just made an anime. They just made an anime of the story, and they just put it on the front page of the game, and you can just go watch the whole thing, and you don't have to earn any of it or anything like that, which is kind of good, but it's also kind of like, I sort of wanted to play through an arcadey story version of this game and earn this story, even on easy mode, even on something where it's like, well, it's just whatever. I would have preferred that. Um, Extras, like all the like, they give you like, or you can have access to a whole bunch of different sound files from earlier Guilty Gear games. You get color palettes and costumes and stuff like that.
So
And
this is the first real Guilty Gear game you've got into, correct?
yeah, I think I had Blaz Blue. That's not Guilty Gear. So yeah, this is the first Guilty Gear game that I've ever actually played.
Yeah. So all right then. Uh, yeah, I know that. The game. This is the most accessible it's ever been. I have the old GameCube, and I think I have like was it X or Third Strike, X Strike, or something? I forget now. It's um So I owned like two others, and every time I try to get in, I'm like, yeah, let me try this one because it always looked gorgeous, and then it always played pretty well. But I'm terrible at it. Uh, I'm so bad at this game. But this is the one that I'm like, oh, I kind of want to give the shot at because it looks amazing, and they've really gotten a lot better with um the tutorials and just overall onboarding. So it's cool seeing that you're getting into this now. Now, what I felt you missed a big opportunity of just doing your own montage. Having you try to play online and then just getting your teeth kicked in, and then you then
Oh yeah,
training for 6 hours. Headband and sweating up, and then coming back and be like, yeah, now I'm batting 500. You know.
I'm saving that video for the Patreon. No, like this game, if you ever wanted to get into one of these, I would say this is probably the time to do it. There's really not that many moves. Like every player, every character has like not that many moves. Not like Tekken, where every character has like fucking 200 moves. Um, they have just kind of a few moves each one. I would say that it's slower than I thought it would be. Blessedly slow, where you're like, okay, I can see that that's coming, and I can counter it. Like other games I've played like this, it's so fast you can't even see what's going on. But everything is communicated to you really really well. In this game, I think it's really good for all of that stuff. But like the extras, you can get them by randomly. So you earn fight money, right? And then you can go fishing, and then you'll spend your money and you'll get stuff, but it's random. You just kind of get random extras. And I was like, okay. So it's kind of like a slot machine. I would have preferred to fight my way through some mode and earn that stuff with cheaper stuff early on and better stuff for beating like bosses and stuff like that. Um, but that's kind of just the
Yeah,
way that they
I
chose to
like
do
the
it.
idea of, I'd be more inclined to earning your currency and then buying what you want because if I'm going to main someone, I just want to have their outfits or their stuff. I don't necessarily want my, if Overwatch has taught me anything, I will always get the cool stuff for the characters I never touch. Um,
Yeah, yeah, that's the way. That's your luck, right? That's my luck too.
yeah.
Yeah, I could have used something like that. I mean, I think these kind of games don't really cater to single player experiences anymore because they're just so online heavy. Um, but but I would have really enjoyed something like that because I mean I might play the online a lot, but I'm never gonna get really good at it. I'm only ever gonna
Well,
be
this was done by Arxis, right?
Arc System Works, yeah.
Yeah, so they do a really good job about and other quite a few other their other games about making a good story content. Um, and so it's really interesting to hear that they're a little lacking on the story on this one because yeah, they've made really good fighting game stories.
Well, I mean, it's there. It's there for you to just consume.
Watch.
But
Yeah, that's the sad that's the it's disappointment because I think that they did one for the Dragon Ball game and it's you fight, get the scenes, stuff like that. I personally like getting story out of that's how it was with Street Fighter 2. I mean, you beat the game so you can watch Ryu do Sharukan's under the waterfall or
yeah,
walk away like into the distance. You only got the endings if you beat the game, and then you in order to get the beginning of their stories, you had to read the manual. So it's
yeah,
like
yeah,
Blanca was separated from his mom in a plane crash. Oh, that's terrible. And then and then you realize, oh wait, he gets reunited with her at the end. Oh, it's so good. It was worth playing through the entire game as him, and it was shit.
yeah. I mean, I would have just preferred that. But besides that, the game is really well made. The fighting is just fantastic. All the characters are totally different, and um, even if I don't like, even if I don't like that character, I don't really want to play it. I at least respect the work that went into creating them as like a different thing. They definitely don't. Nothing feels generic in this game on that front. So
Y-
anyway,
If I remember correctly, you're playing on a fight stick, right?
yeah, yeah. I'll actually hang on just a second. So this is the fight stick I'm playing on. It is a Mayflash F500 Elite. It's got Sanwa parts. Let me put it back.
All right, yeah, I like Sanwa a lot. Granted, they've always been pretty popular for the most part. I didn't notice. I thought you went with the ball top instead of the bat, correct?
I think this one comes with the ball, but yes, I
Okay.
decided to go with it. I am a little indifferent, but I think I prefer the ball.
I guess I grew up most of my a lot of my arcade stuff was overseas, so having doing the champagne glass hold it was always a preference for me. And then I guess but I
Oh
have friends
yeah,
who will they'll only go with the bat design because playing games like um Gauntlet and stuff like that, or like those arcade games were always generally US bat style. So
yeah. I'll do the the stick between the pinky and the ring finger. That's I saw somebody do that, and I was like, okay, that kind of makes sense to me. So I just try to do that, but it's a good stick. I had never I mean, I just bought this like a few months ago, and Guilty Gear Strive is the first game that I had really put time into it, and man, like it's night and day. Like they should almost sell fighting games with fight sticks because it's just like being able to pull off combos and stuff like that. You it's so hard to do it with a controller, and it's so easy and it feels so good on a fight stick.
yeah, I mean, well, when we started getting into fighting games back in Japan, and I had the PS3, so that became yeah, I bought a lot of fighting games on there, and we ended up it was I bought the cheap set, the little PS3 mini Hori, controllers, like it was like yay big, so
Yeah.
I don't know, like a foot and a half maybe in width. So they were real little tiny lap fight sticks, but I still felt that was way better than a controller, but I have a hard time with controller inputs. Um,
I mean,
I just I've that's how I feel.
yeah, I mean, like Horia is really good. Has some expensive stuff, but they also have a lot of really good entry level fight sticks. This one was 150. I felt like it was a good place to start. They have them for like 100 and like even like 80 or 90. Um, and I think that like for me, I was like, well, I want something that's a little bit quality, but I also don't want to break the bank and spend just a shitload.
Oh,
Oh,
I don't think it's gonna come over well.
it's not.
Damn, because of the
You gotta put it right in front of your chest. I think if you're
yeah,
gonna,
I think so.
and
Uh,
even then,
no, unfortunately, because of the NVIDIA capture, the blurring image, it won't show the one fight stick I had for a long time ago. Let's see if I can turn it off on the fly and see what happens. Background, boom,
oh,
bam, got
you
it.
did it.
Yeah. So this is the old PS2 Xbox.
Hang on, hold that. I'm just gonna give us a little bit bigger screen. There you go.
Yeah. So
Nice.
this one was artwork done by Udon.
Yeah.
So I kind of want to get this thing and repurpose it because obviously it's a really awesome fight stick.
I don't know,
So
man.
for people listening, it's it's an old 15th anniversary fight stick for Street Fighter, and I love it. It's a beautiful art style. It's I bought it when it was like clearancing out or something like that, and they still had one. So I think it was like $60 or something.
You got that for a
Yeah, 60
steal.
bucks.
I mean, yeah, it's still is the tag still on it?
Yeah, it was $60 when I bought it.
That's so funny. I mean, the box looks like it's still in pretty good condition, and everything. I don't know. I'd look into it, but it looks like I would just keep that, man. That's gonna
Yeah,
be a
it's one of those things
collector's
I
item.
can probably get a PS2 to like USB converting cable or something like that, and then use it that way. Uh, it depends on how bad the input lag is and whatnot, but I don't know. It's this one is a semi like bat style. I'm not sure what parts are in it, but it looks amazing. I absolutely love the udon art.
Yeah,
Um, so
it makes
yeah,
amazing art.
no, they make really good comics, and they actually came with a giant ass poster in this one too,
Oh yeah,
like a panoramic poster. Essentially, it's the cover on the box where all the fighters are portrayed, and yeah, it was sweet. That's how I was big into those collections that came out on the PS2 as well. So they'd have like the the early Street Fighter or arcade game collections, and so I'm like, well, I was buying a lot of those Namco and Namco bundles and stuff like that. So I'm like, yeah, I'm buying all these arcade games. Why not? I invested in it, and now it's just on top of my bookshelf.
still super cool collector's item. But
Yeah,
yeah, like that's awesome, dude. Um, so getting this fight stick has really made me enjoy this game a lot more than I would have because I did play it with a controller a little bit, and I was like, okay, I think I tried it with the controller first, and I was like, okay, this sucks. I suck at this. I'm really bad. Okay, but then I got the fight stick, and I was like, this is hard to wield, but once I got in there and really got a rhythm, it was just awesome. So now I'm really looking forward to kind of the next, I guess, is the next major release um, of 2D fighters, and that's King of Fighters 15, which is out in February. So I will probably go ahead and buy that as soon as it comes out. I've seen some gameplay of it. Looks fine. People are saying that the graphics aren't as good or whatever. Looks cool to me. I'm excited for it.
King of Fighters has always been a really solid series. The problem is they were notorious in the early days for being campaign wise. Like, oh yeah, everything's good. I'm doing all right. I'm making my way to the end. Last boss, fucking monster. Like, pulling off back to back, like moves that you can't like. I'm pretty sure some of those games are broken to the point where you cannot do some of those combos.
They
Where it's
cheat
just like,
essentially.
oh yeah, they very much cheat, and it was to eat your coins, and you had to get at a level of good. So like coming in as a casual, be like, yeah, okay, cool. I'm working my way through, and all of a sudden this last dude just complete like perfects you. You're like, what the hell? This is bullshit, so upset. And the friends I knew who, when I went like when I was overseas, they were able to play these. I'm like, oh god, you suck. I mean, I'm jealous because you're good at this, but it's completely different gameplay from, or I felt it was really different from Street Fighter. Not quite as different as Tekken, or anything like that, but it was different enough. It had its own, its own vibe. It's not like a Virtual Fighter or something like that, because Virtual Fighter was such a slow, methodical game. I felt, and watching people there's video footage out there with someone playing with one hand, literally one hand going from stick to buttons and back again, and you're like, oh, you suck. I mean, they can win that way. I'm like, that's just the ultimate insult to injury. Um,
That's
so
brutal.
yeah, no, but no, King of Fighters has always been a fun concept, and I like a lot of the characters in it. Um, because it was always an SNK property. And but as far as this next one coming out, I'm like, yeah, that's I respect them. I'm not sure if I'd get into it, but maybe if you get into it, then I'll try to get in.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, I'm definitely gonna buy it. I'm not sure if I'm gonna get it on PC, or if I can, I'll get it on. If I can get a PS5, I'll might get it on that. Um, but yeah, that's all I have to talk about for games that I've played. Do you want to go?
Yeah,
The,
well, I mean, the only thing I've been really playing is more of the same Back for Blood for the most part. Usually, of late, when I get some free time, I have enough friends who are interested in it, so I'm rotating in through a couple groups, and it just means that I haven't really gotten very far in campaign wise. I've made it to um, the second full like chapter,
yeah,
or it depends on how you want to put it, because it's like you have multiple acts in the one chapter. So I made it to the second chapter. I'm in like act 2. But then the core group that I was playing with, like, or a few of us were like, let's play it again, but let's up the difficulty, and it won't unfortunately let you, uh as you're unlocking the chapters, you have to actually play through it on that difficulty or less. So it won't let you just up, like you're on chapter 2. Now you can play on harder difficulty. No, you got to start all the way from the beginning and earn your way. I'm like, which is fine to a certain point, but like, just let us have our fun and then realize maybe we shouldn't be playing on this harder difficulty, because playing on
yeah.
the medium setting now, that it's doable. uh got to the point towards the end of chapter 1 where it started getting really tough. Like, oh wow, like we just got like the swarms come out in a weird way. Maybe there's probably some science behind it where we might be triggering things incorrectly, and learning that, hey, do not set off any alarms. The moment you set off an alarm, you're gonna be screwed. Because like, usually we can survive the wave, but then we get injured just enough, and then when the game sets out another wave, or if we're unlucky enough to set off another alarm of some sort, then we just get murdered. So it's been really rough that way, but super fun still. I mean, when you're playing with a group of 4, uh, communication is key, and then of course you start yelling at each other because you're like, everyone wants to try to blame someone else. No one wants to take responsibility for them. Like, but this game does do the good thing of calling out who set off the car alarm, or who shot the crows,
Yeah,
or who did what. It's like, no, it's like, it wasn't me. Yeah, it was. The game said so right here. Well, my bullet went through that guy. It's not my fault. It went through the door and set off the alarm.
we've
And it's
all
just like,
shot birds by accident.
yeah, I
Some of
shot I
us,
I shot from way down the block, and I'm like, I know there's usually birds spawn there, like out of sight, and I should have known better, and I was shooting in that direction. That was dumb of me.
we've all shot birds
Um,
by accident, but Adam has shot the most. So that's that's uh that's who we can blame.
yeah, man, and then you're like, friendly fire's on now, so it's like, all right,
Yeah,
now
I think
time to get your soap party on,
I
right?
think
Oh.
for the medium and hard difficulties, you just gotta probably first of all have in-depth understanding of all the guns and everything, how everything works on a subatomic level, and then you also just have to play super tight teamwork and basically no mistakes. I think that's probably kind of
The
boils
no
down to that.
mistakes is key. I think it's having the proper build, because
Yeah,
right now, the
you're
a
probably
lot of the
right.
groups I'm playing with, we're all trying to unlock the 500 kills with the different base weapons, because that unlocks at least some cards each. So if you 500 kills with melee, pistol, shotgun, assault rifle, light machine gun, submachine gun, I think, oh, shotgun. So all those you get, after getting 500 kills, you get another card. Don't really know what all the cards. I don't know if you. I haven't even bothered checking to see if I can actually see what cards they are. But it's like, I try to unlock all the cards so you can at least have more options on the table, and then having a proper proper deck built for what you want. And so what a lot of times is happening is we're building a deck kind of for everything, and then when we decide to choose a weapon, we're not really specializing, or we'll specialize in a certain weapon, realize we're at a certain spot where that weapon isn't ideal, and now that we have to switch weapons, we're not really optimized for it. So it's kind of, it's a risk and reward type of thing. It really helps if you and your friends know what you want to do when you go in and you stick to it. At one point, we all switched to three of us were using assault rifles essentially just because of how things played out. Um, because our sniper wasn't doing enough DPS, and so he had to switch it up. Um, one of the other guys was using a submachine gun because trying to get those kills, realizing that submachine gun he started out with was super weak.
Yeah.
And so yeah, we all end up using SMG or assault rifle. I mean, and because of that, we're burning through ammo super quick, and we're like, oh crap! Now that we're in the middle of a fight, completely out of assault rifle ammo, now you're just picking up any random gun just to use something else different, and then that might be nowhere near as good because you haven't been pumping points and mods into it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, I was using shotgun for a while, and finally we were just at a point where I just had to switch over to assault rifle because I just couldn't get enough bullets into zombies fast enough. It just I had to get too close, and it was messy. But I'm still having a lot of fun too. I'm looking forward to playing some more with you guys.
yeah,
Getting
uh,
a little
it,
further
it
on.
works. It works real well. It's a fun game. I would like to go through the story more, just to see where that leads. There's not really much of a story because everything's done in the background.
Yeah.
Um, but it is fun to see how, depending on who you play, how their banter kicks in. Um, I I'm currently playing as not John Goodman. I don't actually know any of their real names.
Yeah.
Uh, but the dude who looks like John Goodman from The Big Lebowski,
Yeah.
and so that's he seems to be a real military suck up. So he's like he's just a little pet for the general that you're there, and he's like, you're a good soldier, and he's like, thank you, sir. And, or if you get shot by how was it the soldier class, Walker. If
Yeah.
Walker shoots you, he's like, I understand it happens, or something like that. He's like really, but then if the doc shoots him, like it's like you're supposed to be healing people, not hurting them, or something. And it's just like, wow, you're a little stuck up there.
Yeah. The
So it's
dialogue.
just it's yeah, it is. It's the dialogue banter is fun. Yeah, the game's good. I like it.
Yeah.
But that's really it because what little free time I've had, I've been trying to spend some time with friends, and that's what they want to play. So I have no problems with that at all. No
Yeah.
regrets.
It's been good. Um, yeah.
Anything else for you?
No, that's it for me on games that I've played.
All
So
right then. Yeah. Other than that, there's really hasn't been a whole lot else going on. News has been a little for us been a little on the light side.
I do have
Is if there's any
some.
last things you want to mention beforehand though?
Yeah. Yeah. So this just came out yesterday. They released about 20 minutes of Elden Ring gameplay. I'm really looking forward to this game. I played Demon Souls back in the day, and I kind of missed a lot of the other Souls games. Um, so I'm really looking forward to getting into this. This game looks really. I mean, it looks like a Souls game. It just looks like a Souls game, but it looks really beautiful. Um, and they just released a whole bunch of gameplay. Kind of talked about different parts of it. Um, it looks like it's going to be really slick. It's coming out February 22nd, I think. So the week after King of Fighters 15 releases. So I have kind of a tight window in there to get those things done. But it's going to be a busy late February and early March for me. But
Dude,
anyway,
don't worry. This is gonna be knocked back.
again,
I
you
will
think
wager.
it's already been knocked back once from January. Um, so
Y-
you think it'll
So
get?
you still got like another three more times to get pushed back, so you're good.
Yeah, I kind of. I mean, I hate for games to get knocked back, but as long as King of Fighters stays where it is, this game can get knocked back a couple weeks, and I'll be happy because it's it kind of sucks. there's nothing releasing in December or January that I really, really want to play. Um, so
Dude,
this
there's plenty of back catalog to go through. That's the
that's
thing. It's just like
that's kind
I
of the
don't feel the
thing.
I don't feel the need to always be playing the newest stuff. And there's very few things that draw me in. Like I have to touch it when it comes out. Of late, I should say. Every now and then, like I said, the last time I think I felt that urge was actually the Marvel Spider-Man by Insomniac. I That one just really had my attention. It really drew me in, and I really like Insomniac open world games. So uh, I was I was lucky. One of the local library had it, and I'm like, oh wow, okay,
Nice.
yeah, most definitely checking this out. And I binged that game hard.
Mm.
Uh, and then
Yeah,
we ended up buying a second system for my significant other, and it came with it. So we're like, sweet, all right, because yeah, it's a fun game. But as far as I'm really glad that Elden Ring looks, it has color to it. It's vibrant because I don't know. I understand the gothic horror aesthetic, but I also having seen enough of them, it reminded me of those times where all the first and third person shooters were always brown.
yeah.
It kind of, having this, and now that it's like it looks really good. Um,
It looks super nice.
and oh yeah, I mean the last game that really had a lot of good color to it that was considered a Souls like, it was a Sekiro.
Yeah.
Um, people debate what kind of Souls games it is, because it's more faster pace and whatnot. But I've been really bad at these games. Uh, I tried Dark Souls, tried Demon Souls. I'm not good. That's the thing is I think I respect the hell out of the game. A lot of people to watch the high level gameplay is amazing. I just I don't have time to get good.
Yeah,
I don't have that dedication.
they're guessing it's going to be like a 50-hour game, or maybe somebody said it. So it's gonna be a big time commitment. I may not even finish it. I might just keep it like 25 or 30 hours in, and have to put it down. But um, I'm excited for it. Yeah, I do have a big back catalog, and there's a couple games that are out fairly recently that have come out fairly recently that I do want to play. So I'll probably jump into those. But yeah, it's just probably one of the next big things I'm looking forward to. And anyway, this is some gameplay from it. But besides that,
If I were a betting man, I'm betting it's coming out midsummer, early to midsummer.
you think so? Push it back that
May
far?
May or May at the earliest. Yeah, that
Dang,
I
wow.
would be amazed. Well, I'm just expecting that everything's been getting pushed back so much, and now people finally getting the hang of this whole COVID and working remotely, and to a certain extent. But honestly, uh, it's one of those things that you can push it back, but you do it because it's going to make a better quality product, and you do not want to fumble a game, like this because the fan base is just so solid.
And it's rabid too. I mean, if you fuck up a Souls game, then I don't know. I wouldn't want to be in your shoes. But I mean, from Software is good, and I mean, yeah, I just hope that they release it whenever the game's ready.
For sure.
Yeah. But besides that, some other news. I guess this really isn't about it, but oh yeah, so yeah, State of Play for October 2021. This was back on October 27th. This got released, or this came out, and there wasn't too much in it that I found to be really interesting, but there was a couple things. Was there anything to you that stuck out in your mind?
You know what? There really wasn't a whole lot there that really impressed me. I mean, King of Fighters was exciting. I think that's when they first mentioned it, or at least that's when I first was aware of it, to be honest.
Yeah, the open
And
beta for that is coming later this month, late November.
oh, okay, that I think I missed that then. Okay, that's cool. That will be most definitely worth. That will determine whether or not I'm actually interested in buying it. Is how badly I get kicked to the curb.
Yeah, yeah.
So, all right, that's cool.
I mean,
Then I'm trying to remember. There really wasn't. It was a tight 20 minutes. It was just like, uh, yeah, I was surprised at how short it was. They announced a couple of games back to back, but there was like, uh, I don't know. It was weird that I think they ended it on Star Ocean of all things.
No, no,
Um,
they
oh, it wasn't the end? Okay, it was towards the end. I just remember looking, I'm like, is that a Star Ocean game? And I'm like, sure enough, I'm like, oh wow, they're still making those. Um, I
yeah.
really like the early ones, but I haven't touched anything like PS3 after.
Yeah, I mean, most of it was garbage to me. The King of Fighters open beta was interesting. Just that's a thing. First Class Trouble, that's like the the tricky multiplayer survival game. That looked pretty
Yeah,
interesting.
it's the was it oh, that little murder game that everyone loves playing, and I never played it. Among Us.
Yeah,
It's essentially an Among Us like, but with actual like graphics and third person aesthetic, I believe.
yeah.
Um, so it's that one is actually just became. I was going to mention it later, but it's also free on PlayStation Plus for November.
Oh,
So
okay.
as of the time of this, you can be getting First Class Trouble for both the PS4 and the PS5, I believe,
Yeah,
which is a smart move because a game like that, you want as many people to be playing it because it lives and dies by its fan base.
yeah.
They did that with the other one, the obstacle course game. I can't remember that one now. You're playing as the wonky big people, going through like the Wipeout or like Takeshi's Castle style obstacle course as you're going through.
I don't know
Come
this.
on, yeah, you do. You so know this one, and you're there to pick up the slack, man, and you're dropping the ball.
Sorry, I don't know this
uh,
one.
Anyways, yeah. So this is, but it's a smart move to have a game that requires a lot of people. You know, I don't know what the deal is in the back end, but yeah, totally the right move.
Yeah.
Um,
So it looks good. It looks it has a kind of a nice aesthetic, and it's probably just like Among Us, so it probably won't really do much. The other two things I thought were worth noting was Star Ocean. It's called Star Ocean: the Divine Force. Um, Star Ocean's back. It looks okay. Looks like a 6 out of 10 game to me. The main character I don't really jive with, but maybe it'll be good. I never played the originals, but I remember hearing about them. I think they were pretty popular whenever they came out. And then the last game that they talked about was Little Devil Inside, and that seemed pretty cool. It has a really nice, cute, but sort of horrifying aesthetic to it. The lighting in it is really nice, and it just seemed like it's going to be a pretty like I'd play it if somebody put it in front of me, but it also doesn't seem like something I'm gonna go out and really try to like try hard to play. But
I'm trying to remember. Was this the game where you're playing as the crow, or?
you're like a dude. It starts you as a dude, and you get on a train and you come to a town, and then
Oh no, this is way different. Yeah, okay, this is. Okay, yeah. Go ahead and explain it because this one took me by surprise. It had a really neat art style to it.
yeah, the art style is good. But you come to this town, and you I think help random people, and they kind of send you. You keep getting on this train and then going to a different place and then getting in a car with people, and you like the one that they showed is you get in a car with people and they drive you up to this mansion, and then you walk up to the mansion, and then there's a creepy guy that lets you inside, and then it's clear that there's something like you're hunting for a relic, and then you go down in the basement, and then they cut this off, but they basically say, okay, bad things happen, and now you escape that, and now you go on and you're just some kind of roving traveler. I'm not doing a very good job explaining it, but it looks
It
interesting.
reminded me of Kentucky Route Zero. It had some of
Yeah,
that vibes to it. Not necessarily, like it was like a weird like story by story basis. It didn't seem
yeah,
like it was one connected story from front to back, other than you being the traveler. but like it's the small encounters along the way that it's like the sum of the parts.
Yeah, sort of
Um,
like a monster of the week, but like in a video game form, where every chapter is its own sort of anthology thing going on. It looked all right. Like I said, I'm not gonna run out and try to play it real hard, but it looked okay.
yeah. And Fall Guys was the game I was thinking of before. Uh,
Uh, okay.
the, yeah. And as far as I meant to say it beforehand, but Star Ocean has kind of never really stopped.
Really?
So the last, yeah, so I first got on board with Star Ocean PS1. It was Star Ocean the second story. I think yeah, the second story. I think that was it. So that one it there was the big thing is it was touted for having like over 50 different endings. And there was quite a bit of real variety in like at least a dozen of them.
Oh.
Some of the other ones were like small snippets, like depending if you did this, you get a little extra ending to it. But it was really neat. You can play between a guy and a girl, and then depending on that, you can choose like a romance option, which also kind of affected the ending. So you can choose to pursue certain people, and also depending on if you played the guy or the girl, you also might negate some of the people you actually run across. So that was a neat one because you were it's opposed to the standard fantasy trope. You're a sci-fi like you're essentially Wesley Crusher. Like you're this kid, son of a famous captain, and you're just this newbie, like recruit or like freshly minted space cadet or whatever, or maybe not cadet, but like full time office guy. And you're doing your first away team mission. Something happens and you get teleported,
Hmm.
and so then you're now next thing you know you're in this fantasy magic like realm where, uh, and you're mistaken by their local like one of the girls. It's like, oh, you're like the legendary hero because you came from like you're blonde like they are, and you come from the sky. You came out of nowhere, and she was like being attacked by a monster, and you use her like phaser, so you blast it with a beam of light, and like you have the sword of light, and he's like, no, this is a gun. And I'm almost out of charges. Like I only have a couple shots left. That's it. And you're a primitive world, so I can't charge this thing. So that's kind of how his story starts. And that there I didn't realize there was an original game, like it was for the like Super Nintendo originally.
Hmm.
And that one was you're playing your father, because you're playing this kid in the second one, the PS1. Well, apparently his father was not the main hero but part of the hero's party in the original game. I'm like, oh, that's cool. Because they released that on the PSP. They ended up releasing that one for the first, like translated. It's like, oh, that's neat. um but yeah, they came out with one in like '01, which was uh Star Ocean Blue Sphere. '03, uh Till the End of Time, which I'm pretty sure I have
When I
bought
was
and
a
I never
kid.
actually played. They had the 360 had the last hope, or Star Ocean The Last Hope. Never touched it. um then they came out with two of them in uh 2016, Star Ocean Integrated and Faithlessness. That was the main console one, and then they had one like uh I think it's Amnesians or something like that. I don't know. They really went hard into the CG cutesy, like I don't know how to say it. It's not quite like Hitsano or Hatsune Miku look, but it's a very weird anime CG look to it, and that's what this last one. I'm like, dude, that looks like Star Ocean. And sure enough, I'm like, wow, I can't believe you're dedicating time to this Sony press conference to fucking Star Ocean. Okay, cool. You got some actual footage of the other game you were mentioning.
Yeah, the
Uh,
this is Little Devil Inside that's showing now. Just gonna leave it the way that it is, but I'm
oh yeah, for sure.
skip ahead a little
No,
bit.
it looks really neat. It has because at first it looked like a board game, and I'm like, okay, what's the they don't really explain a lot, but it looks has that aesthetic to it, and yeah, it'll I think it's piqued my interest for sure.
Yeah, and then you yeah. So this is the thing. You get in this car and it takes you out, and you have to honk at these sheep, and it's like, what the hell? And then go forward, and then you're at this mansion. Um, and it's sort of just like, and then it switches back over to this really cool like art style that's close up instead of a big map world. And you get invited in, and it's like, okay, clearly this is haunted somehow. Oh, we're going down to the basement. Yeah, this is gonna be good. Um, weird drawings on the wall. Hey, come down in this weird room. And then you have to fight this monster in here.
I
and
don't think I don't know I don't remember watching this part.
then
I
and then
didn't remember that. I don't know. That was a short little bit. I must have blinked or something. I don't know what happened.
and you're
I just
like,
know that.
and then like
Yeah.
it says like after you fight that creature. Well, now these white creatures, these like little white goblins follow you around, and you have to stab them to death
Dude,
and
that was ET. That
throw
was
them.
totally ET.
And then it's just kind of random stuff. It's like all over the place, but it I don't know. It is what it is. But yeah, Star Ocean, man, cool. You think you'll play it?
Oh hell no.
That's what I thought. That's what I thought.
Oh man. I mean, it's like it's one of those curiosities. Like, oh wow, what? How? It feels like an old ass game. It looks that way, anyways. It looks um, like yeah. Last time we made this game years ago. Let's just do more of that. Who knows? It might actually be really cool. I don't know.
Maybe.
Uh, yeah. I just they have their choice of art design. I'm not the biggest fan of. So
Let's see.
Uh,
So the only one
so
more.
outside of that,
There's only one more
oh yeah,
thing I wanted
go
to
on.
talk about, and that's
Yeah.
this is kind of, I don't know, making mountains out of molehills, but Xbox Series X/S sales reach 8 million. Game Pass climbs above 20 million. So on a story a few weeks ago, I heard that PlayStation 5 reached sales of 10 million, um, which is obviously more than 8 million. But I would have thought that the disparity would be way, way more. I would have thought it would be double what
Really?
Xbox had sold. Yeah, because of how Sony won, the last generation so hard. I would have thought that they would just keep doing it. And personally, like, I have a PC, I don't need an Xbox Series X, but like what you and a couple other people have kind of helped me come around to is like the Xbox Series X and S has a lot of quality of life stuff. So if you want to play games with friends, or you don't want to be glued to your PC all the time, it is a really viable option. Um,
Yeah. So
go ahead.
I think that to say PlayStation. All right, so PlayStation 4, quote unquote, won the last generation, but I think towards the end of the life cycle, Xbox or Microsoft has really amped up their game because they were doing really good things as far as the Game Pass initiative and trying to make things more accessible. They were starting to they were doing the cross-platform play sooner than Sony because Sony started becoming more uptight about that. You had the issues with Sony. They used to give out more free games, and then they discontinued the PS3 free games and the Vita stuff. So like your value was getting less for the free games you were getting a month. Uh, so I see it as they rocked the first 2/3 of that, but they really let it start slipping towards the end. Not enough to quote unquote lose the generation, but since then, like Microsoft had been climbing since the beginning. They finally got a good rhythm going towards the end. They're like, yeah, let's, and I felt they kind of were steamrolling their way up. Um, Now, as far as PlayStation still had such a strong fan base, and having those good exclusives really would have helped them, kick in. I'm actually surprised that they sold as many as they had, uh, but I think most that's more due to was that FOMO, the fear of missing out. So like, oh, you can't get these anywhere. I'm gonna buy it, and I'm gonna buy a PlayStation anyways in the future, even though none of the games are really out, or and now all the games that were PS5 exclusives, now they're making them fit backwards, to PS4 because they drew that line. They were doing all the wrong messaging before PS5 came out. They were like, "Yeah, we believe in generations, and we're not gonna do a lot of the cross-gen games and stuff." Like, I understand you want to draw your line, you want to make, but like your the messaging was, we're gonna cut off our old uh, you know all of the old fan base, and we're just gonna make you start from the fresh. And then like they kind of got conceited, but then the pandemic hit and the supply chain got choked out. So they're like, well, we can't provide the games we need for the current gen. So and we need to do something to make more income. So we're going to make these PS5 exclusives now, accessible to PS4. It's not the most optimal, and like they're backpedaling a little bit now. While on the other hand, um, the Xbox has really, got into their own rhythm, and they're like, yeah, check this out. We got this cheap little thing, super small. You can play 1080 real well, and then you got the powerhouse, the X version, and it's stronger, like numerically, and it has theoretically better outcome. Guess what? You can buy external storage for ours right away. You don't have to wait for external storage, unlike that PlayStation. They only recently got that within the last few months, finally working. uh, yeah, it's just, I thought that Xbox would be closer, if not winning, especially with the Game Pass stuff, because it's so much easier to pay the one flat fee to have your uh, library of games you can play. It includes the ability to play online, and that way, if you and your friends, ever want to play, because not everyone can afford a new PC, or wants to even deal with the headache of a PC.
Yeah,
Uh,
that is
and
a factor. Yeah,
a lot of people are, that's why a lot of people are saying, hey, are the consoles finally the way to go now? Because you can't buy any of them, consoles or PCs, but they're finally having like PC features. You're having ray tracing, you're having, because the last generation felt like they were kind of kneecapped from the start. They weren't as strong as they should have been, but now these ones are pretty strong and pretty beefy. So, in comparison, uh, you can still get a lot of that same visual quality. You're starting to get 120 frames in a few games. That HDMI 2.1 has really been a big deal. I think that it doesn't surprise me that there's close. In fact, in my brain, I thought that Xbox would have been in closer, to be honest.
well, I mean, if you start looking at the Game Pass numbers, then the sales for Game Pass outpaces Sony. Because you
I
got
want to know. Yeah, I want to know how. I would like to see the breakdown of how many people are Game Pass only console, the only PC, and how many of them are Ultimate.
yeah.
Um, yeah,
So basically, my larger point is that you know Sony's hubris is rearing its ugly head again. Sony, they they do pretty well. Just going back to the PlayStation One, did pretty well. They made good. They beat up Nintendo in a lot of ways. They still had a lot to prove. PS2, they win the generation, going away, hands down. PS3, PS3. There's a lot of problems. $600, get a second job in order to pay for it. All that nasty stuff. Here comes Xbox. 360's out earlier. It has plenty of its own problems, but by and large, it won the generation up until the very end. I think, and Sony just had to have Japan. Sony had to have Japan sales in order to beat Xbox, and Xbox doesn't have that. So, I mean, it depends on how you count that. So, then Sony comes hat in hand with PlayStation 4 and starts acting like, they need people again.
well,
And
they started doing the right messaging. I mean, granted, it helps that then Xbox was on their third system, so it's kind of the curse of the third system, because by the time third system rolls around, everyone seems to get forget how they started, and then they stumble, and that's what Microsoft did. They were forward thinking, but they were really bad at their messaging, and
Yeah.
always online, this, that, the other thing. I'm like, yeah, you had the right thought. You're just like literally a generation too early.
And
Um,
they were more
and
expensive too at the beginning of that, right? And they had to
they were more
slash.
expensive. But that was the beauty of Sony having their time slot. And
Yeah.
then they were like, "Guess what, guys? You can share games," and showing one person handing a physical copy to another person. They were able to just completely pull the rug out from under Microsoft, and Sony had all the right messaging, all the right stuff. Came out super strong, while Microsoft was doing nothing but backpedaling. So that's it really is that kind of idea. PlayStation did such a good job for most of it, but then they started, once again, they're getting, but yeah, I agree, they're getting conceited, and they're losing the messaging. The idea should always be, fans first. Think about think about the players, or what your people want.
Yeah. And I was really dead set on getting a PS5, and I still am, just because I know they're going to have the exclusives in, in,
Yes,
in the
kind of.
in the long term. But the reason why I'm not so hot on it now is because, like, well, Final Fantasy VII is my main reason for wanting a PS5, and it's going to come to PC eventually. I wanted to play God of War. That's going to come to PC
Real
um,
soon.
real soon. Spider Man, I kind of wanted to play, but now I'm kind of like, I don't really care. So, I mean, the reasons for buying a PS5 have dwindled pretty much down to I want to play those games sooner rather than later. And I guess probably over time, the exclusives are going to come onto that side. Um, so it is a little bit of a toss up now. If I didn't have Xbox Game Pass, then I would probably be seriously considered an Xbox Series X or an Xbox Series X, because everything I've heard, they're really great. Like everything about them, everything about Xbox, like you're saying, they're winning the messaging war, and they're winning a lot of the little battles, little skirmishes around
Yep.
the console war.
You got to win the hearts and minds.
Yeah, that's
It's
it.
nice that I like the idea that Sony is finally coming around to the PC space, because Microsoft did that towards the end of last generation. They already knew that we got to make these transitions, and to see Sony finally bringing down, tearing down some of those walls. Now you got the fanboys who are just super like, angry about the fact that, no, you're giving my God of War away. This is meant to be, it's like, they should be making the next God of War, not making the port. I'm like, they're not making the port. Don't worry, they outsource that stuff. Like almost all the time.
Yeah,
But God of War is coming out, at least according to Steam. It looks like January 14,
yeah.
2022. So a couple months. Uh,
So that I will probably play for January. That is probably going to be my old game of the month in January.
yeah, I that game was amazing. I played it on PS4. It's I Sony has really good games, and I don't mind if they make it available um, on PC. Because for me, I have a decent PC, but overall, my wife and we like to play console. We own two different PS4s. Only, so when you buy digitally, I can use. I have hers as my main account, and I buy the one game. We both can play. We can both share the online. So it's yeah, we're playing two. Both of us play together for the price of one.
Yeah,
It was a really good deal,
it's handy.
and I highly recommend that. Uh, you know,
Yeah,
yeah, I know you can do that with the Xbox as well. Yeah, except for the fact that now, um, yeah, it's just you can't buy the new consoles, and I have decided to wait until the refreshes, when they come out with either the slimmer ones, the more cooling or heat efficient ones, the ones that have, uh, you know, I want a bigger hard drive. I waited until the PS4 Pro came out before I bought the PS4.
yeah. My thing is that, okay, so you have a nice up to date graphics card, but I'm still on this old 970,
Yep.
and I've been thinking about it, and it's like the easiest and cheapest way for me to get a up to date graphics card is to get a console. And obviously,
Yeah.
it's not gonna be as powerful, but the games are gonna be optimized to play off of that. And it's like if I want to get one anyway, I can spend $700. I'm $750 on a PlayStation, or I can spend, I mean, fucking $1,000 on a still not top of the line graphics card. So it's it's a rock and a hard place, and I'm
I put it this way, there is nothing wrong with going ahead and getting a console. Like I said, I prefer the console game in a lot of ways, just because it streamlines and it makes it really easy. It's more comfortable for me at the couch.
yeah
Uh, it's I do have it's a I have my own computer desk, so but when I want to play on the on the TV, I then have to finagle some stuff. So it's not that convenient.
what yeah
I but the thing is, you just for it's I got lucky enough, and I also bought a pre-built, but I did that uh, shortly before. Like it was after the graphics cards were, obviously not coming back anytime soon, but before things got real serious. And I kind of read those tea leaves, and I'm like, no, I got to jump in on this now, or else I'm just not going to get my chance. And sure enough, I was able to get right in under
you did
before a lot
good.
of the prices start.
Yeah, man, you did good. But anyway, that's just me and my gamer tears. Um, but yeah, so that and there's one other little story. I'm just gonna say the headline: "Truck full of precious PC graphics cards has been stolen." So Kotaku is reporting this. Some dudes stole a truck full of graphics cards. Those graphics
Heist of the
cards,
Century, the new Ocean's movie, right there.
well, all these graphics cards have serial numbers on them, and so they're all going to be marked as stolen. So hopefully, you don't end up buying one and getting ripped off for buying a stolen graphics card. But yeah,
You
very
use a
shitty.
VPN, and then just all you need to do is that's how you get your Bitcoin, and then they're literally getting free money at that point.
Yeah, they did say that these probably will go to like mining Bitcoin or something like that. So they won't even have a chance to be registered as marked as stolen or whatever. I don't know, but I thought that was kind of funny. Please don't steal graphics cards. That's just shitty. That's just real shitty. But that's it for the news as
But
far
other
as
things is okay to steal, just not graphics cards.
yeah, of course, just not graphics cards. That's it for
All
the
right,
news
well,
as far as I'm concerned.
yeah, that's for sure. All right. Well, I'm going to get down to the last segment here, which is our signal boost. We like to talk a little bit about things that bring a little light, shine a light on a few things that we think might be interesting to other people. For me, I'm going to be shining a light on this month's PlayStation Plus. Uh, most of you know what's there, but uh, you know, some people don't necessarily pay attention all the time. So, PlayStation Plus for November 2021, we're looking at, like I mentioned before, First Class Trouble. So, if you wanted to give this game a shot, you're interested in maybe playing an Among Us style game, but with more current graphics. Um, that's something that worth giving a shot. It's I believe that I don't think we mentioned it, but the concept is I think you're a space tourist or you're just in a colony in space. But it has that little bit of throwback like 50s style vibe. And the kind of concept is when you're running around, you're meant to look really janky. So you run like stiff armed, and it is an aesthetic at least. They all right. So PlayStation also is giving away for free Kingdoms of Amalur: Re-Reckoning. Uh, this was a pretty fun game when it first released on PS3 and 360. I think they both of them. And for if you want like an action RPG style game, I just say give it a shot. Uh, then there's Knockout City, and that's essentially a multiplayer dodgeball game. A lot of people seem to like it. It has a kind of a Splatoon-ish vibe
I've
to
heard it's
it.
I've
You
heard
know,
it's good. Yeah.
yeah. So it's has that like street punk, like happy. It's almost like Jet Set Radio, like color scheme. It's very bright and vibrant. And yeah, there's that. But the what a lot of people don't necessarily know is that they're also releasing some PSVR games for free. And so they're releasing the Persistence, which is a horror game for PSVR. It's kind of a lot of people have been relating to Dead Space in that kind of it's a sci-fi. I think it might be space horror, but it's just these monsters coming out at you. So very much you can see like Dead Space vibes for sure.
Mhm.
So if you want to play, and it's always been really highly rated. So a lot of people on there it's been out for a handful of years, and it's always on like the top 10 lists and stuff, or generally speaking. So I always had my eye on it, never got around the chance to playing it or picking it up, and so now I did. They also have a one called Until You Fall. It's a I don't know. It's a like swords and magic style game. So it's more of a melee focus where fighting guys in armor. And it looks like it has a weird uh 80s sci-fi vibe to a certain extent, like a Trapper Keeper. Like the color scheme is more of that kind of neon aesthetic.
Yeah.
But it's a dude that's completely in like full armor. So uh it's gotten a lot of good buzz, but it never looked like my thing. But you know what? Since it's free, I'm going to give it a shot as well, because I really like my PlayStation VR. And the
Nice.
last one I'm pretty excited about, which is really weird because I don't think I'd ever thought about being excited about a Walking Dead game until now, uh, is The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners. That came out, I think, last year, maybe the year before. And it came out with a lot of good buzz because they've made some really bad Walking Dead games. And this one's really solid from everything I've heard. It's always been just a little out of the price range that I was willing to pay for it, and so I'm just like, I'm just gonna sit back and see if it goes on like a good sale. It never really did, and now it's on the best sale I can get.
Yeah.
So most definitely pick that up if you want to, just a zombie shooter that, and maybe you're done with was it Arizona Sunrise or Sun? Yeah, I think it's Arizona Sunrise or Arizona Sunshine. I think it's Sunrise. That's the like the most popular zombie shooter there is on that one. But no, The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners, everything I've ever heard was it's a really good game as far as a PSVR shooting game. So
Nice.
yeah, that's it. Yeah. How
Nice.
about yourself? What are you recommending on the Signal Boost?
So, if you are in the world of Dungeons and Dragons, you probably already know about this. But Critical Role, the probably the most famous live actual play game in existence, finished their second campaign a few weeks ago, and well, they just started up their third campaign, and so I got into D&D kind of in the middle of that second campaign, and man, it's just so much to go back and try to listen to or watch that it's pretty daunting because every episode is what 3 or 4 hours, and there's 120 something episodes.
Hmm.
So this time, uh, I'm jumping in at the very beginning and just going to follow it week for week. I have a couple friends who are into it too. So this is the time to get into a brand new campaign. If you want to have any chance of being able to keep up with it, it's start now, and it's free.
Also, yeah, these guys, for if you never really heard of them, they originally started out as a Geek and Sundry thing years ago, and for YouTube. But now, as of that massive Twitch leak that happened not that long ago, where you got to see all the earnings calls, like who the top earners were.
Oh yeah.
Well, Critical Role was number one.
Oh really? I
Yeah.
didn't notice that.
Um,
I thought it was somebody
no,
else.
they're bold number one. With beating out who was it? It was like uh QC or something, or I can't remember. It's a single streamer. So that dude was number two, was 8 million or 8.5 million, and Critical Role has just over 9.5 million. So
Man, yeah, like I mean, each one of their Twitch streams gets a million point five views, probably less as the campaigns go on, but that's like every week. And then the YouTube gets the same number, just about. And then they
and
have
then you got people who do
merchandise.
Patreons, and like they recently did the Kickstart for their animated season one.
Yeah,
I think what was it they were trying to get they were doing like one they want to do one episode for 750,000, and then they got like something like 5 million or something. They got a ridiculous amount of money in the
yeah.
end.
And it's, I mean, it's a, these are professional, Emmy winning, some of them voice actors. These are like some of the cream of the crop of the industry, and they're playing a game that relies on that and is beneficial and benefits from that. Um,
Oh yeah,
and
they're total actors in the sense of they have that broad range, but at the same time, they're also a bunch of friends who know how like they have a good time, and you can
yeah,
see that it's genuine. So that's really cool. I
I think
recommend giving them a watch
I th-
if you're just curious.
I think they were a private game before they were even on Geek and Sundry. I'm pretty sure they were their own. Like, hey, let's just get together and shoot the shit and play some D&D. Because like Matt Mercer is the DM, and he's been doing it since he was a kid.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Matt Mercer. He's McCree from Overwatch. For a quick shout out for those who may not know who he is.
yeah.
Um, they have Laura Bailey, who is like anime female lead, like one of the top people of all time.
Sam
So I
Riegel.
mean,
Sam Riegel's also in a lot of anime as well.
dude, they have so much talent in one spot. It's
It's
pretty
pretty
amazing.
sick, yeah. Anyway, that's my shout out signal boost thingy. And that's it for me.
Well, guys, thanks again for another sticking with us for another episode of another 10 Pixel, and we're really glad that you made it all the way through. We're doing it a little shorter this time around, but we, you know,
Thankfully.
only 2 hours, a little over instead of three. Um,
Yeah. It's only a little
we
past
w-
midnight instead of 2 in the morning.
yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. But no, we enjoyed the fact that you guys were able to stay here with us, and we appreciate it. And we just hope that you all had a good time. And yeah, I'm just gonna say, take it easy and have a good one.
Yeah. All right, guys. Have a good one. Catch you later.